Hello, everybody. How y'all doing tonight? Hopefully I'm coming in loud and clear and you guys can hear me okay. I usually upload a video Mondays and Fridays, and I didn't upload one on Friday. And I had sent out a post that we had a lightning storm here, and everything has been kooky ever since that. My house didn't take a lightning strike, but just some weird stuff. It must have struck somewhere nearby because I lost a dimmer switch in my garage. I lost a dimmer switch in this office that I'm sitting in right now. The audio on my mixing board went out. It's just been a cluster F. So anyways, kind of pulling my hair out over the weekend trying to figure it all out, and I got a temporary fix on it, so at least we got some audio now. But like, for instance, I'm not wearing my headphones right now because my headphones aren't working. It's like, what a mess. So lesson learned. I'm going to when I upgrade some equipment, I'm going to be getting some surge protectors, as if those are really going to help with lightning. But hey, I guess anything's better than nothing. So we will see. It's kind of strange because here in Southern California, we so rarely have lightning. Nothing like in the Midwest what you guys get. But it's just interesting. Just so happened the way that it did. So see everybody in the chat. Hey guys, how y'all doing? Had a little conversation going before the video. Just kind of talking about drains and different things. The video that I uploaded today was on a package unit, and that was actually a request that someone had. They wanted me to talk about the need for a P-trap and a negative versus positive air pressure drain system. I'm going to be honest with you, on the commercial side, it's very, very rare that I see a positive pressure drain or a drain pan that's under positive pressure. Lennox had one many, many years ago, long time ago, on some of their really old package units, and we had nothing but problems with them where the traps would dry up and it was just a headache. I don't know if that's why people have gone away from the trend of using positive airflow on the drains. Who knows? But I just thought it was important for people to understand why on the package units we have to have P-traps, on majority of them, I should say. Okay, so and like I talked about like I talked about in the video, it's very important that we have a P-trap and we understand why we need to have a P-trap on our package units, okay? Especially like I mentioned in the video, because on some of the older carrier package units, even though the drain was still on the negative air pressure side, they had an internal trap. So you didn't want to add another trap to that because then it would just be redundant and it could potentially cause problems. So you do have to understand what you're working on. You can't just go slap something on there. I think one of the more common things that I see out here is when people don't understand what they're doing when they're making a trap, if they even make a trap, and then they'll take the clean out and they won't cap it. Because the clean out being on the negative air pressure side of the trap, they won't cap it or they'll leave it open. And then here we as service techs come along and have to solve water leak issues. And, most of the time you just got to plug up a clean out. So, excuse me. So yeah, that was a little bit exciting for me over the weekend, just trying to figure out this computer stuff and dealing with all that. But other than that, things are going good. In the chat, I had some questions about why I used copper. I actually got an email and a couple comments on the YouTube videos too. Here in Southern California, the sun is so brutal that PVC drains don't last very long. They'll get you a year or two. And, for some customers, that's probably okay. But me personally, I usually don't give them the option, and I just pipe the drains in copper because I don't want to have to deal with the problems later of a broken trap, or when we go out to do a preventative maintenance and we're pulling the hose past the drain and someone catches it and then rips the trap apart. I don't want the liability, even though it's not my fault. It's hard explaining that to the customers. So when and if possible, I always do my drains in copper. And then obviously you guys can see that, I spent some extra time and went a little crazy on that drain. But you got to understand, that's a drain done after the fact. I don't do new installations, but if I was doing new installations, the customer wouldn't want to pay for a drain like that. They just want the quickest, easiest thing they could possibly do. But on the flip side, when it comes to service, that's the hard thing to make customers understand. When you're doing installation, they just want the cheapest, best, fastest, and they want it to last forever, but they don't necessarily want it to be serviceable. So if we could go out and do a drain like I did on this system with multiple cleanouts and multiple unions every single time, heck yeah, let's do it. But I'm practical, and I realize that drain cost the customer like $90. So just for the drain with all the fittings and everything that I used on it, those unions are like $12 each. They're nuts. Home Depot's getting an arm and a leg for them. So it's not practical to do it on install, but when and if possible, it's the best way to do it. So that way you can service it better. See the guys in the chat. Hey there, Billy. How you doing today? Hey guys. Yeah, do me a favor. HVAC James on the job made a good point. You guys hit the thumbs up button on the video, guys. That really helps me out. I'd appreciate it if you guys could do that. So for the people just coming in, we were just kind of recapping a little bit about the drains. Okay, I was kind of addressing a few questions. I'll go over the quick ones real quick. Was copper drain lines. That's a real big thing out here because of the sun. The sun comes and kills everything in the heat, and they just dry the drain lines out and they break. So we tend to use copper. Another one, and it's always something that I've been curious about too. When I see other people's videos and other people's pictures, I notice that the Midwest and back East, you guys drain your condensate drains on the roof without running them down, through the building or anything like that. Out here, I honestly don't do enough installs to know the code exactly, but I was doing a little bit of research right now, and I couldn't really find a code saying you had to drain them into a drain. But I did find a code saying that if you had, like, for instance, a 90% system or something like that, it has to be drained into the drain because, of the combustible materials that could potentially, or not combustible, but the what am I trying to say? The drain, the condensation from the combustible gases, I should say. If you had a furnace that had a 90%, I know you have to be draining those. You can't be draining those on the ground because that'll eat holes in the roof. But my ACs that I'm doing, even still, they're always plumbed down into the building. We hardly ever drain them onto the roof. Every once in a while, we'll drain into like a roof drain. We specifically have a code that says you can't drain onto a walkway. So for instance, if I drain them to a roof drain, most of the time those come out into like planters and different things. And then eventually, because we have so much condensation here because of the heat, eventually it'll overflow the planters and then it'll go out onto the sidewalk. So I do know that we can't do that. So, some restaurants, they won't realize they'll have a primary and a secondary roof drain, and the primary will plug up, and then the secondary will typically drain onto the ground down by the parking lot. And then that'll drain all over the street, and that's a massive code violation. So, we typically out here see our drains going into plumbing lines and then going down into the sewers. That's like a common thing. And like I said, I always thought it was kind of funny because I see everybody else on, in the Midwest and back East just draining them onto the roof. So it's interesting too. I almost wonder if we have like different roofing standards because all of our roofs leak water constantly out here. I'm sure it has something to do with the heat and the dry air that we have. But I mean, constantly I'm seeing customers having to redo their roofs and do all kinds of stuff to them. So, if I was to drain onto the roof, I'd be worried about a roof leak, but we also don't get that much rain here. So I imagine there's something different in there, but I bet you anything has something to do with the dry, warm air that we have here. And it probably messes up the roof or something like that. So we've just recently started getting into the trend of using those, what are those rubber roofs? Is it PTO material or whatever, that horrible white stuff that blinds you? That's like the new trend right now. Cause before we just had like the roof tar paper stuff or whatever. I don't know what that stuff's called, but just usually a mess. But yeah, the new trend is those rubber roofs, and those are cool, but then they suck when you're doing work on the roof because then you're responsible for putting holes in the roof all over the place, or you're installing stuff, or you drop, sharp objects, and it's like, then it penetrates the roof. So not a super big fan of those for that reason. But so yeah, I just kind of recapped about the drains, draining onto the roof. PVC drain lines, kind of covered that a little bit, but yeah, just not a big fan. But I will say, I did mention in the comments, I really do appreciate an easy trap just for the simplicity of being able to see in the drain line, the easy traps with the clear lines. They don't last very long. I have like 2 customers that have them on the roof, and I'll be honest with you, they come out of the AC, go through the plastic easy trap, and then they go into copper. And I've actually replaced them multiple times with just the easy traps just because I like the way that they work. Even though I realized that if I put copper in there, it would last a lot longer. There's something about those easy traps that I like, just being able to clean them out and see inside of them. But they do get sun damage really quick being outside. I don't even know if they're supposed to be outside, to be honest with you, because I don't know how UV protected they are or anything. But that's just a big thing out here. You know, we got a lot of codes about the sun, the UV stuff. You know, our insulation's supposed to be UV rated and all that fancy stuff. You're supposed to paint your insulation. We hardly ever do it, but you know, if you're doing a new install and exposing it, they want you to do all that good stuff because the sun just destroys it quick style. So, yeah, so that's kind of it about the drains, guys. Unless anybody else had any questions about the drains, I don't think there's a whole lot to cover on those. I will say I'm interested. Don't know if any of you guys in the chat have used them, but I'm interested in that new setup where I've seen it on social media. It's that drain that it's got like multiple T's, and then one's going to the positive air pressure side, and then one's going to the negative air pressure side. I'm sure there's a name for it. Someone in the chat will probably come up with it. I've seen them done on some package units. It looks kind of interesting to me. I don't know how well they work. They're supposed to like prevent clogs or something by using the positive pressure. It's kind of what I've read about it. So thought that was interesting. Jeff, could you use conduit as a drain? No. Are you talking about like a galvanized conduit or something like that? No, because it would rust out real quick, dude. We'd destroy that. Hydro pump, is that what that drain system's called? I don't know. Yeah, I could look and see if I could pull it up. I can Google it real quick and see if I can pull this goofy thing up. I don't even know what to call it, though. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find the name of this thing. Let us see. No, that's not it. Yeah, I don't know the name of it. I'm not going to sit here and look forever on the internet. I probably would have been better prepared. Have this drain set up. I know there's it's interesting too if you've seen them though. I'll keep in the comments. Maybe someone will come up with the name of it or something like that. But it's an interesting drain mechanism that it's got all kinds of pipes running all over the place, and it's supposed to like prevent the trap from getting plugged up or something like that. So yeah, thought it's interesting. But so Orange Popsicle, you asked if I have to cover the PVC pipe for UV protection. I'm sure that you do. You guys, I honestly don't know a lot of the codes because I don't do new installations, so I really don't have to deal with that stuff too much. I'm trying to think though, but I mean, I've seen new installs come with PVC drains. I just know that they suck. But yeah, I honestly don't know the legal codes and stuff. Okay, John, so there's no trap on it. Do you know what it's called? I'd be interested to know what that thing's called. I've seen some pictures of it, but HG, you're not too late, man. We've only been going for a few minutes, only for 12 minutes, man. So no big deal. No worries. It's all good, dude. We'll probably come up. Sean Price, I'm going to answer a couple questions here, guys, before I get way behind. Sean Price, you asked what my HVAC probes are. They're the Fieldpiece Smart probes. It's the Fieldpiece JobLink probes. I was a big fan of Measure Quick, and I'm sorry, big fan of the iManifold, and I have like way too much money invested in all their products, but I haven't been a fan lately with the software and everything that they got going on. So I jumped ship, bought into the Fieldpiece JobLink probes, and I have to say that I am blown away with the connectivity and how great the connection is. I will still say, I've said it before, the iConnect wireless probes still have the potential to have better range because you can repeat them. So meaning that you can connect one probe to another, to another, to another, and I can go through a 5-story building, no joke. If you set, but you have to put the probes all, every story and different things. But the Fieldpiece, I've gone up 2 stories in a commercial building and been inside of an aluminum walk-in box and still got connection. So I'm the Fieldpiece ones are kicking ass right now. And Fieldpiece has really been working on a lot of their cool stuff going on. I believe, actually, I know that they just worked on multiple probes on the Fieldpiece software. I don't think it's quite come over to Measure Quick yet, but I know Measure Quick's on the way. But I know if the field piece probes are working with Measure Quick. I'm just talking about the multiple probes with the field piece stuff. But I could be wrong. I just don't know for sure if they're going with Measure Quick yet. But yeah, HVACR, dude. iManifold, dude. It's embarrassing for me to say, but I'm into it for at least 3,500, close to $4,000 over the years. Not all at once, but over the years, little bits at a time. Yeah, I bought way into that stuff. So, but the repeaters, they work great for me, man. They last forever. But anyways, field piece job link, that's what I use. Great prices. I have no affiliation with TrueTech Tools, but they have great prices on TrueTechTools.com. And you can also use Brian Orr's offer code of Get Schooled, all one word, or you can use Tool Pros Podcast. I think, Billy, is that what yours is? There's a couple different offer codes. I know Billy's in here, so you can use his code. You can use Brian Orr's code. You can use Shop Talk. I'm pretty sure they have a code too. So everybody will get you some kind of percentage off, and you get a great price on that. And a lot of times with TrueTech Tools, again, I'm not affiliated with them, but a lot of times they have free shipping if your orders are over a certain amount. So I really like to use TrueTech Tools for that stuff. So, yeah, I don't, Felix, are you talking about the job link? I mean, the iManifold stuff. I don't regret buying it. It's still great. I've been disappointed ever since they came out with a new update. But I will say, just like I said the last time, I honestly haven't given them enough of a chance yet. I saw the new app and I was completely turned off by it. And I honestly haven't turned them on since the new app came out. So I just didn't like the way the app looked since they updated it, but I have not even connected the probes to it yet to give it a fair shot. So I don't want to talk crap about them completely. Ever since the whole Jim Bergman thing happened, I got a little bit sour on that. And, but I know that's water under the bridge and he's doing fine with it now. So, but that just kind of soured me a little bit on that whole iManifold thing. But anyways, on to the next thing. Yeah, Steve Lav has a code too. So yeah, everybody, there's all kinds of different offer codes out there. So just any of your favorite YouTubers, give them a look on their content and they'll tell you what their offer codes are, whatnot. They get some kind of credit, I'm sure, for that. So I've just always used Brian's or Shop Talks, but Billy's is on here too. You can use Tool Pros, all of those. So they'll all get you a good deal on those. On another note too, with TrueTech Tools, now that we're talking about it, they have these black rubber gloves that I use like crazy. We buy them by the case. They're called Black Mamba gloves. They're black nitrile. Those are like the best rubber gloves I've been able to find. One of my local supply houses had them, but they were way too much money. And TrueTech Tools, I think my local supply house was, it was way like $25 or $30 a box. And I think TrueTech Tools, you can get them for like $11 a box. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, those black nitrile gloves are called Black Mamba gloves. I use those, go through those like crazy at our company. So, good stuff. I'll just kind of go through the comments here and see if I'm missing anything. Yeah, Andrew Hicks, honestly, I want to try out the Sporlan, the Smart Pro R ones. Is that the ones you have, like the fancy ones? I want to try those out, but none of my supply houses carry them. And I'm the kind of person that likes to see them before I buy them. Nobody has them. You have to order them all. Some of my supply houses have the ones that aren't the newer, longer range ones. They have the old ones, but I don't want to buy those ones. I want to see the long range ones. I'd be tempted to buy the Sporlan ones, but I'd really like them to work with Measure Quick. So, Rick, you didn't miss anything yet, man. We were just kind of talking about drains today. I uploaded a video. For those of you guys that are just coming in, just kind of recap real quick. I uploaded a video on a package unit with a plugged up drain, but then throughout the video, I explained the need for a P-trap on a drain pan that has a negative air pressure pull on it, and why we need those. And that's what we were just kind of going over a little bit. So not really too much. It's been actually kind of cooler out here. We're in our winter right now. So it's like 65 degrees. Sorry guys. Hate to say that to you, but, we're in our winter right now. So we're all in our sweaters and jackets and beanies and everything. And, the AC calls have been slowing down, but they still come in every once in a while. But, we do refrigeration. So refrigeration's been keeping us pretty busy. So, what scale do I use? Brian Acatella asked me. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, dude. Right now I actually have the field piece wireless, the newest wireless scale. I kind of went through a bunch of them. I was really digging the AccuTools gosh, I wish I knew the part number and model number, the AccuTools scale for a while. But I constantly had problems with it getting wet with the AccuTools scale. I would set it down on the ground in water, or like on the floor in a restaurant, and it would short out. And I sent it in 2 times and got it replaced. And I finally just bought the field piece scale. I honestly was a little leery about the field piece scale just because it's wireless, but it works great. I had one time where it lost connection and I lost my measurements right in the middle of weighing in like a 6-ounce charge, which kind of pissed me off. But other than that, it's doing great, with the ability to communicate with the app. It's pretty cool. So yeah, just the field piece wireless scale. That's what I'm using right now. Comes in a cool carrying case. Again, sorry guys, I didn't have all these part numbers and different things, so wasn't prepared to talk about these tools. But yeah, SRS3, that sounds about right. So, excuse me. Rod Day, you said you had problems with field piece with the scale or with their tools. I've had really good luck with field piece. I will say that I have one advantage, and that field piece is local to me. They're about 45 minutes from my house. So I'll go by their main office if I ever have a problem with the tool, and they just swap it out on site, and I don't have to worry about shipping and stuff. But I've heard nothing but great things about everybody else that has to deal with field piece. And so, I guess to each their own. Some people don't like their stuff. I like it. I love the field piece loaded clamp meter. That's the one that I have that does phase rotation. I love that thing for when I'm doing startups and different things. So dig that. So let me see. So another thing I kind of wanted to cover was in my recent video too, I talked about my system that I was working on having an internet controlled thermostat. Personal opinion, not a fan of them. This one used the Bayweb internet controlled thermostat. And again, I don't want to talk too much crap on them because I haven't really given them a fair chance. But the one time I logged into their system, it's ridiculously hard to try to figure their stuff out. It was just too complicated. But I will say that give them the benefit of the doubt. When I logged in, the customer got me the information. They had 3 locations on their dashboard, two of which I don't service. So I was a little hesitant to play around in the app too much because I didn't want to mess up other locations' AC systems. So like I wanted to, the way that the restaurant had their dashboard set up for Bayweb was they had, multiple different schedules and different things, and it was really confusing. And I just wanted to go in and delete everything and start over and redo everything. But I was afraid to because they had 2 other locations and I didn't want to mess up their system. But I don't know, just wasn't really a fan of it. So I understand energy management. I understand the need for it, but it's kind of funny in restaurants. I don't really see it being too useful. I'd rather, to be honest with you, just the units control the systems and just having a occupied signal coming from downstairs. I'd prefer that. If you get into like the Linux L series, you can run those units in standalone mode where you can set the cooling and the heating set points, and then the ACs just get an occupied signal from downstairs. I think that's the best way to go, because then if you want to take the control away from the customer, the actual restaurant staff and different things, do that. Just go standalone mode. I'd rather do that than a fancy energy management system that we can't control, and that's confusing. And there's nothing worse. I don't really do a lot of big giant controls or anything like that, but there's nothing worse than opening up an AC to troubleshoot it and see a giant controls package and know that like they got to call the controls company to deal with stuff. That just seems so ass backwards. It's like, I'm the HVAC technician. I should be able to get in here and figure this out. But I know some of those things are so complex and they have so much stuff tied in. Jeff, you said, what's a cloud-based thermostat? Bayweb. So basically it's like an energy management system. That's this particular one, but there's several. But Bayweb, they have hardware on site. They have a thermostat on site, and the logic or the algorithm that runs the thermostat comes from the internet. So the thermostat does have the ability to run itself within certain parameters if they lost internet connection or something like that, but it's just not the greatest thing. So like, let's say you downstairs, you do have like a keypad that you can adjust, but it's only temporary adjustments. And then after so much time, it goes back to the internet cloud-based thermostat's logic. But for instance, the system that I was working on, Again, this is the first time I've logged into Bayweb, so I don't know if there's more to it or whatnot. But when I logged into their internet portal, the building, the way it was set up for the RTU units, I wasn't able to go auto changeover between heating and cooling. Now, I'm sure I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure that it's the way that the customer has their system programmed, but it was just, I thought, so stupid that you had to go in there and physically change it from heating to cooling. Again, the restaurant managers have no ability to do this. It's on a facilities level. They had to log into the Bayweb dashboard and change it from heating to cooling. And I know that they do that because I can see in the history, that is one thing they give you, is you can see history. I can see history. Basically every December they have to go turn the heaters on, put them into heat mode, which I just think is silly. I think we should be able to have automatic changeover. John McMaster, you say that drain is called Coast Guard. I'm going to look that up right now. See if we can pull that up. It's up. Okay. Oh, you're right. Yeah, it doesn't have a P trap. That's interesting. Let me pull it up here. Let's see if I can go to their website. See if there's any pictures. I don't think. I'm not going to show a video because I don't have the audio figured out. I'm pretty lame and I don't have it set up to where we can do audio on my Hangouts. Let's see if I can find a good visual here. Yeah, see, I'm not finding a good visual. Oh, there we go. That looks like a decent one. Let's see if that works. Okay, so let me try to screen share here and I'll see if I can show you guys what we are talking about. So this is the one that I've seen. This is called Coast Guard. You can see right here, my understanding, and someone in the chat, I have never used these, okay, but I've heard that essentially, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, but the positive air pressure clears the clogs out of the drain. Is that the case? That's what I've heard. So I've heard that it constantly keeps the drain clean and it doesn't need a P-trap that way. So I think they're interesting. I'm going to look into it and see, but don't know if any of you guys have ever worked with that. So yeah, I've just seen pictures of them. I haven't seen them in the field or anything like that. I'm going to do a little more research. I probably should have done that before I shared it in here, but oh well. I'm going to go ahead and turn the screen share off. But yeah, so Coast Guard condensate drain seal. Looks interesting. So yeah, John, have you ever used that? Or have you ever seen them out in the field? Hey guys, hey Familia, how you doing? Hey, I wanted to say something, guys. I wanted to say thanks a lot because I just broke 8,000 subscribers, and that's all because of you guys. You guys are the ones that are subscribing to my channel and sharing my content. I really, really appreciate that. It's really cool how this can all happen as fast as it did. I mean, really, my channel just took off in July. Like I started it last year, but I really didn't start uploading until February. And I might have had like 200 subscribers in July, maybe 300, and then it just exploded. And it's kind of insane. Just blows my mind that you guys like this content so much. So just want to say thank you guys very much. I really appreciate that. So Superior, you said you can't use any smart probe gauges because your cell phone going off and you really don't want to bring the iPad to every call. So yeah, I get that. That is kind of frustrating. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, I get it. The smart probes are a little frustrating because at times, you do run into problems. So, with your cell phone and different things. Like for instance, I'll tell you, with the field piece ones, I love them to death. But if you're talking on a Bluetooth while you're trying to use the smart probes with your phone, it's not going to jive. It don't work right because it interferes with the Bluetooth and it messes things up. So you got to turn your Bluetooth device off if you're going to use the field piece ones. So, that is kind of a bummer. I'm sure that they'll work on something and make it better, but there's times where the field piece ones are just my absolute favorite because you can get them into some super tiny places that was even hard to get the stub gauges into. Because the field piece have that 45-degree angle on them, I think that they're great. So really like that. So, Oh, Joshua Medus. Yeah, you asked me about the 220 if it was only breaking one leg of power. You were the one that asked in my video, right? Um, that one, yeah, I think I had a bad connection or something. I vaguely remember that something happening there. Oh, I was doing that. The reason why I was getting that reading on that particular video, that was the one where I had a walk-in freezer defrost heater that shorted out against the evaporator line. Yeah, so something was giving me a back feed because of that electrical short, and I believe that's why I was getting that weird reading or something inside there. So, yeah. Hey Jeffrey, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. Um, HVACR Knoxville, what's going on, dude? Um, so yeah, covered that. I got like I always have this little notepad right here with all my notes that I want to talk about. So kind of just going through those, seeing what I needed to cover. The last thing I wanted to cover was I had some questions. I know a lot of you guys I notice are usually in here, but there's a few of you that are new. So I've been getting a lot of questions about, starting in the trade, becoming an apprentice, how to go to school, how much you're going to make. Okay. I'm going to start off by saying different areas are going to change. Okay. Here in Southern California, a new technician coming out of school is probably going to start on the high end at $18 an hour, on the low end at $16 an hour. That's typically what you're going to start at. And that's in my sector. Okay. I'm not talking for residential companies. I'm in a commercial company. But if I was going to hire a new hire apprentice, he's going to start somewhere between 16 to 18 an hour, more than likely. And that's finished school. Okay. You're going to top out. I mean, the sky's kind of the limit. You're going to top out at probably $45 an hour, maybe 50 if your shit really doesn't stink. That's when you're going to start getting into union company territory, when you're going to be pushing $50 an hour. Private companies, you're not really going to see that unless you're a service manager. That's when you'll start seeing the 50 something dollars an hour range. But more than likely, when you go to become a service manager, you're going to end up going salary. So not always, but so there's definitely plenty of money to be made in this trade. As far as schooling, I'm a fan of any kind of schooling you can get. I'm a fan personally of community college, and the reason why I like community college is because you don't have to pay for it all at once. You can do a semester at a time essentially, and you can do school while you work. So basically, you can work during the day, go to school at night. That's the way that I did it, and I'm a fan of that. Not saying that you have to do it that way, but I find that the easiest because you can have a normal day job, working a full-time job, still making ends meet, and go to school at nighttime. Again, guys, I'm just covering this for the people that asked all these questions. The starting pay I talked about, and sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a minute. But as far as hiring people without experience, me personally, I've done it. Our trade right now is really hurting for technicians. So anytime we can get someone new that's interested in the trade, we're going to jump on that. But you're going to have to, I will say that we have, even though we have a shortage on technicians, we have a lot of new people coming into the trade right now. Okay. So there's a lot of people knocking on our door saying, hey, I want a new job. I want a job. I want a job. So we do kind of, pick and choose from those people. Okay. And that kind of goes all the way across the board. Personally, if you're new and you're wanting to get into this trade, I would suggest that start going to school, do night college or night classes at a community college, get a semester done or be halfway done with a semester, and then go knock on some doors and say, hey, I'm really interested in HVAC. To show commitment, I've already started going to school. I'd like to come be an apprentice. I think that's the best way to get in. A lot of people complain that, oh man, nobody will hire me without experience. It's not necessarily that you don't have experience. It's probably a lot of factors. It's that you're not showing drive. You're just knocking on the door saying you want a ton of money, So be humble, be willing to learn. A big thing that I find problems in the trade schools more so than the community colleges is that the trade schools tend to groom them thinking that they're going to make $25, $30 an hour starting out. And that is not going to happen for an apprentice or a new technician coming in. I'm sorry. It's just not. So, you got to work your way up. I realize that that's a problem here in California because, the cost of living is high, but, I can't afford to pay someone $30 an hour to learn. It's just not feasible for me, you know? So, and I know that happens to other companies too. So just wanted to kind of cover that because that was a few questions that I had. So kind of go back through here and see what I got in the chat here, guys. See what else is going on. All right. What did I miss? Anybody post any questions that I needed to miss? Just going through here. HVAC in South Carolina. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. I'm trying. I'm just trying. Like I say all the time, guys, I'm just trying to share the little bit of knowledge that I have. So if I can spread the knowledge, then that makes it easier for the next guy. So I'm always trying to think of the next guy. Okay, going down through here. How long does it take to finish school? School, well, okay, so the community colleges, aren't they a 2-year program, I think? If you were to go full time, I think it's a 2-year program, I think, if you do it at community college. And that's also including general education. So I think you can get it done in about a year and a half if you went straight, or maybe a year. I honestly don't know for sure, but I mean, you don't have to finish school like right away, I should say. You know, you should you could just, like I said, start going to school, then go knock on some doors, get hired, and then work your way up, you know, and then you'll learn as you're going to school. I found that the best way for me. So okay, gonna keep going down through here. Okay. Paul Dieter, yeah. I mean, that I felt that was the best for me to do it that way because I could learn, and then you know, if I had questions at work or I saw something, then I'd go to school and then we could talk about it there too. So yeah, Brian Milburn. I strongly recommend Dick Wer's book. Any of you guys that are interested, Commercial Refrigeration for Air Conditioning Technicians by Dick Wers. That's for, I mean, that's even for beginner techs, but that'll really help with technicians that already know air conditioning or know a little bit about air conditioning, because it skips some of the fundamentals essentially, or it just covers enough of the fundamentals and just kind of dives into the refrigeration stuff. And that is a great book. I personally have said it on a couple other live streams. I personally had a chance to talk to Dick Wers. Great guy. I've taken a class of his online. That was great live. That was really cool too. So really, really cool guy. Very knowledgeable dude. So okay, going down through here. I saw a comment. John McMaster, pneumatic seal traps. I'll have to look that up, dude. I'm going to write that on my list right here of things to check out. Seal traps. As far as coming up, I'm working on some more videos right now, guys. I'm editing a Hoshizaki ice machine video, Hvacr glycol system video, walk-in cooler videos, all kinds of stuff I'm working on editing. So we'll have those coming up here shortly. Yeah, they're HG. You said such a broad range on school. There definitely is a broad range, and there's a lot of bad schools out there too. So that's why I just don't want you guys to go spend an arm and a leg and get a crappy education. So be cautious about that. Okay. Don't just listen to what the school has to say. I'm sure there's good trade schools too. And I'm going to differentiate and make you understand. I consider a trade school one of the private colleges that you pay for versus a community college education. Okay. I know that some people would say a community college is a trade school too, but I consider trade schools to be a private college that you pay up front for the entire thing, kind of a deal. Okay. Not knocking trade schools. There's a lot of trade schools though, and there's bad ones mixed in with the good ones. So just be cautious about spending your money, you know, and just because you're getting, you know, money from the government doesn't mean you're not going to have to pay it back. Because a lot of people I notice are getting from the trade schools, they're getting re-education, you know, government assistance and different things. And a lot of times you got to pay that stuff back. So you got to be cautious about those fancy things. So, all right, keep on going down here, guys. See what else I'm missing here. Do you have a generator at home for when you lose power or not yet? DJ Sub Air. No, we don't. Here in California, we don't have power problems enough to have a generator. I guess if you live in a giant fancy $1 million home, but I'm just slumming it down here in the burbs. So no generators down here. Okay. Prime time, dude. I mean, I learned from my dad too. So, you know. Hey, Zaya, how you doing, man? Okay. No, I don't have any commercial refrigeration books for sale, HVACR Knoxville. Sorry, bud. Go on Amazon, though, dude. Where do you live, HVAC? Well, do you live in Knoxville? You might find uh subsidized education classes. There's a company out here, I mentioned it in one of my last podcasts, called HVACREDU dot net. I believe it's HVACREDU dot net. They do subsidized education programs, and they're the ones that actually I took the Dick Wurz class with, and I got his book for free. So, and I think I paid like $40 for the class. It was called, let me look up the thing. HVACREDU. Let me make sure I get the right thing. Yeah, HVACREDU.net. Now, I'm not saying that they do the subsidized education in your area, but a lot of places they do. So here out in Southern California, my local utilities, Southern California Gas Company and Southern California Edison for our electric, they subsidize as part of, you know, government regulations or whatever. They have to put so much of their profits towards education or something, some fancy, weird California liberal hippie stuff. But they have to subsidize education for the trades to try to save money or whatever. I really don't know the full legal jargon, but anyways, you get a free education essentially. So that HVACREDU.net out here, they have a special program called It's About Q, but it's the same company. But I know that they do their subsidized education all over the United States. So you may want to check with your utilities, look them up, and I think they might have something on their website, and you might be able to get some of those books for free. So that goes for anybody that's in here. Look up HVACREDU.net. So, okay. Someone said Brian Orr's podcast. Brian Orr's podcast is amazing. And actually, that's where Chris Alessi, you said that with Dick Wurz on HVACR School. That's funny because right after Dick did that podcast, I emailed him and said, hey, I really thought the podcast was great. And then I happened to write an article for Brian Orr. And then long story short, Dick ended up getting a hold of me because of the article. And it was really cool to be able to talk to him. So really nice guy. Okay, so HVACR trucker. Yeah, you said you got 18 out of school. How long ago was that? That's kind of what you're getting out of school right now too. So, okay, keep going down here. HVACR dude. Yeah, it's just that's so much money, bro. Like, did you have to pay that all at once or did you do payments? That's I just don't want anybody to screw themselves on payments. If you got like subsidized or something like that, then great, dude. That's so much money. But I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're good, you're going to make that money back. I mean, spending money to get an education is a great thing. I just don't want anybody to go spend a shit ton if they don't have it. That's the biggest thing. I have no problem with 12 grand for a 9-month program. There's nothing wrong with that. You're getting a great education so long as you're getting a great education. I just want to make sure you get something for it. You don't want to get screwed, So, okay. Keep going down here. Okay, cool. So I'm not missing too much here. All right. HVACR, dude. I appreciate that, bro. I'm trying, man. Just trying to share. All right. Okay. Yeah. If you're a vet, you get all kinds of subsidies and, the GI Bill and all that fancy stuff will pay you. So that's a great thing. Okay. Keep going. I'm going to butcher your name, bro, but it's Javier Gonzalez. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Yeah, I'm NATE certified. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about certifications. Okay. Does NATE make you a better technician? Yes and no. Okay. Is NATE easy to pass? Yes and no. Some technicians have a bunch of patches on their shirt and they don't know their ass from their hand, but they can pass a test. Okay. So if you have NATE patches, does it make you an amazing technician? No. But any certification is better than no certification in my book. Okay. For me to pass the NATE test, I opened a book and I read stuff. And I probably picked up some new knowledge. So how could it hurt me? Yes, the patches don't do crap for me. I do commercial refrigeration. I've never, ever used my NATE certifications for other than me just being able to pass a test. They have not gotten me one single penny more. I haven't gotten any jobs from them or anything like that. But for me, the fact that I have a certification means everything to me. any certification is better than no certification. That's my opinion. Okay. But I will agree with the people that don't like Nate in that it personally has gotten me nothing, but I still think it's a good thing. I still to this day renew my Nate and pay the thing once a year, twice a year, whatever it is, to get my certifications renewed. So I agree with it because one of the cool things about Nate is that they require you to do continuing education. Excuse me, they require you to do continuing education and pay your fee every 2 years. So you still have to take recertification classes, which I think is a great thing. I think we need to be taking more classes. We need to get, certified properly. Okay. So Nate, I like Nate, any of them. I've said it before. If you can pass your RSES CM exam, you really know your shit. Cause I've failed it twice and still haven't passed my RSES CM exam. That's one of the hardest tests I've ever taken in my life. But I'm challenged to keep doing it, and it makes me want to learn more so that way I can pass it just to achieve that goal. Okay. There's all kinds of other certifications too. So I'm all for certifications. So, okay. Going to keep going down here, see what I missed out. 150 for a test? No, that's not high because in our RSCS chapter here, the Arrowhead chapter, that's what we charge for a test too, is 150 bucks. And I don't think we're making very much of a profit on that when we do that. It's just a couple bucks maybe. That might even be passing the cost on, to be honest with you, because we usually don't make too much money on that kind of stuff with RSCS. So 150 bucks, that sounds about right for a Nate test. Yeah. So, okay. Keep going. So Dennis Delatorre, you said you're aware there's a lot to learn and stuff, but you don't know if you should try to get into union now or wait till you get more experience. Hey, bro, it really depends on where you're located. Here in Southern California, I would not. Well, actually, now that we've got a shortage of technicians, I mean, the union's a little bit more appealing, I guess I should say. But the union's not very strong here in Southern California. So if you have a strong area that the union's really strong, really good, and then all more power to you. I mean, there's bad technicians that are non-union. There's bad technicians that are union. So I'm not going to talk crap union or not. I will say that I think there's some stupid political crap because me as a private contractor, I can't bid on government jobs unless I pay prevailing wages. Like I think that's kind of funny. Like that's the way the unions keep me out of the work. So I do think there's some weird bureaucrat crap, political stuff with that. But I don't want to talk shit about unions because I've got buddies that are in the union and they love it. So more power to it. If it's good in your area, it just has to be right for you. You don't want to go to a place that you're going to be laid off come all wintertime and then be slamming during the summertime. But I will say that a lot of those trends are probably slowly dying off because of the shortage for technicians. But once we get staffed up again, the next 15 years, it might get bad again where there's more technicians in the union than there is work. But right now, I think it's probably a good thing if the union's strong in your area. So, all right, keep on going down here. Hey, Andrew, how you doing today, man? So, okay, keep on going in here, seeing what I'm missing out. You guys, I'm kind of running out of topic here. Kind of covered what I needed to cover. So you guys let me know if there's anything else you guys want to talk about. I think I covered all the questions really. So, and that's great, HG. If the union works for you, man, more power to you. If basically you got to do what's right for you. You got to make that money. So HVACR, dude, I don't know what you typed, but the Nightbot deleted you, bro. You putting emojis in there or what? I'm gonna have to figure out. I don't even realize that Nightbot's on. That's funny. Oh wait, I guess I can click on this. Yeah, it's just because you put too many emojis. That's funny, dude. Haha. Super. Hey, you're getting deleted all the time now. Sorry if that was too loud, guys. That's funny. You were in timeout, HVACR, dude. Oh, that's funny, man. I gotta figure out this Nightbot thing. Total Tech. Thanks a lot, bro. That's funny. Or that's really cool of you, man. Oh man, HVACR, dude. What the fuck, dude? Oh, that makes me laugh. Oh yeah, did you guys see that? Oh man, did you guys Neko Carito, sorry bro, I'm butchering your name. Did you guys see my Instagram post about that seismic valve? That was something that I did. I forgot to talk about that. So I'll cover it real quick if you guys didn't see my Facebook or my Instagram post. So I'm working at a restaurant, right? And we had a I'm actually going to do a video on it, but we're working on a restaurant and I'm replacing a bunch of controls in the control panel. And in the same control panel is where the Ansel system is, and there's all kinds of fancy interlinks into it, right? So we get all done, and I have a guy on the roof. We changed all the motor starters. It was like 4 motor starters, and then I rewired some stuff in the panel, fixed it, corrected it, and then I had a guy on the roof changing we were speeding up the exhaust fans because they were having some pull issues. So we adjusted the exhaust fans up, and then we adjusted the makeup air unit up to kind of balance out the building. So we're getting ready to leave. It's about 11:15. The restaurant opened at 11, but they were slow. So they're just had lit their fryers and they were just starting to cook. And then all of a sudden, all the gas turned off to the building. And the manager comes up to me and says something to me. And at first I'm like, what? Like, what could have happened? Let's go try to relight your stuff. Long story short, I'm pulling my hair out, trying to figure everything out. And there is uh, controls that are built into the hood system that will shut off the gas sometimes. They'll have a solenoid valve on the inlet of the gas, and it'll just kill power if there's ever a fire or something like that. So immediately I start thinking, what did I do wrong? What wire did I mess up? So I'm looking in the control panel. I'm starting to lose my shit, pulling it apart, trying to keep my cool for the manager, but inside I'm losing my shit. My heart's pumping because this restaurant can't open at the moment because the gas is off. They can't cook, So it's like, what the hell? So now I'm starting to think what I'm doing. So I verify that there's no solenoid valve on the gas. I can't figure out what's going on. And I have a tech on the roof. And then out of the back of my head, I think, oh crap, did he kick the gas line and like turn off a gas valve or something? So I call him, hey, did you turn off and he goes, no, I didn't do anything. And I'm starting to freak out right now. So by this time I'm like, okay, I got to go onto the roof. I've got to jump up there and figure out what he shut off because I'm thinking he did something wrong, right? He didn't do a single thing wrong. When he was adjusting the makeup air unit, he sat on the gas line, or we were both up there actually, not doing anything wrong. And this is a 2.5-inch gas line, and we must have kicked it. We kicked the gas line, dude. And this gas line is 35 feet away from what we now found out to be an earthquake safety valve. Okay. So long story short, there was an earthquake safety valve that triggered because we kicked a gas line when we were walking on a mall roof. How do you not kick a gas line when you're walking on a mall roof? Everybody trips over those damn things. And especially a 2.5-inch gas line, dude. That scared the shit out of me because I'm sitting here thinking, what did I do wrong? How did I mess up the electrical panel? There's no gas to the building. I ended up going up onto the roof, panicking, I've never even seen one of these things. I just went to the gas meter and started going, what is this thing? And there was this red valve on there. And guys, go to my Instagram. And I ended up finding a arrow on it that said reset, and there was a little slot for a flathead screwdriver, and I turned it, and then the gas just whoosh ran by and it's just like, dude, my heart, I was so freaked out thinking that I fucked something up bad. Oh, that one made me panic, dude. Never seen it. I mean, now I know what they are. And it's funny because as I'm leaving, after I reset it, I'm walking off the mall roof, and there's one of those on every AC because they must have come in and done like a seismic retrofit on the mall and put these stupid gas valves. Now, I do have something to say too. I honestly don't think that they should be installed on the roof. And it's not like my guy drove a car into the gas line. I mean, he kicked it with his foot, bro, and it's a 2.5-inch line. There's no flex to him. Like, there's no reason that gas, that shutoff valve should have triggered, but it did. Scared the crap out of me. Yeah, that was a stressful day, dude. Yeah, that one, I thought I screwed something up so bad. Yeah, the vibrations must have been resonating through the line. I'm actually kind of curious. I'd like to go back there and just kick the line and see if I can get it to trip again, but I just don't want to be responsible. I kind of told them they should call their plumber or the gas company and have them come out and change that valve. The other thing I was thinking too was most of the time, that's a weird location where the gas meter's on the roof. It's a shopping mall. So, usually you don't see gas meters on the roof. So I would imagine that earthquake shutoff valve would usually be on the ground in a stable spot where it wouldn't be so susceptible to vibrations, maybe. I could imagine that because it was on a roof, that even just walking on the roof can amplify vibrations and cause that issue. So, yeah, I pretty much had to go change my underwear there, Morrow. Yeah, because, yeah, that one, Scared the crap out of me, dude. Yeah, that was that one. I still like, I had to tell everybody. I called my buddies. I was like, everybody needs to know about this because that was the worst thing that ever happened, dude. Yeah. Kyle King. No, I've never had to clean up an Ansel mess. I've seen it. Knock on wood, cross my fingers. I don't touch them. I've never triggered one. So yeah, I've been in a restaurant after an Ansel system's gone off. Yeah, and there's just a mess. If you guys don't know, Ansel is it's a brand name actually, but it's a fire suppression system. It's essentially like little fire extinguishers that sit over all the cooking appliances. And if there's ever a fire, there's two ways that a fire suppression system like that can be triggered. They usually have metal linkage in the hood ducts that will melt at a certain temperature. And then they'll also have a pull station. So if there's ever a fire, either the metal linkage will melt and then it'll trigger the fire suppression system, and or you can run over and pull a pull station with your hand and it'll trigger the fire suppression system too. So it's not something we mess with, but it's something that we have to know so that way we know not to touch them, basically. So okay, so I saw some other comments up here. Okay, Sackman Do. Sorry if I'm butchering your name, bro. Yeah, CEFSA, I think, is a great certification too. But I've looked into CEFSA. It's too much money for me as a private contractor because, you know, as an employee, you get a discount. If I understood it correctly, you get a discount because the company that you work for is a participating CEFSA contractor, that they pay a fee into CEFSA too. And it's a way to educate your technicians and give you, you know, a special badge. But same thing. I know a lot of big box companies that are CEFSA certified and their technicians don't know their ass from their hand. On the flip side, I know a lot of companies that aren't CEFSA certified and their technicians don't know their ass from their hands. So to each their own. But I'm all for any kind of certification you can get. Just don't break the bank doing it. So that's my opinion. But all right, keep going down here. See, what about duct detectors? Paul Dieter, you want to know about duct detectors? So gonna actually have some new content coming out with duct detectors too. Paul, I can't remember if it was you that asked me or if it was someone else, but someone else asked me how to use a duct detector to shut off a furnace or a heater. Okay, the thing about duct detectors, and it's funny because I just took my trainer board that I made a video on, but I have a video on duct detectors where I break one down on a trainer board. I just took it out of my office and put it up at my shop. But there's really nothing to a duct detector. Okay, a duct detector essentially is a set of relays. Okay, and one of those relays happens to be triggered by a smoke sensitive detector. Okay, that's all it is. So you have a duct detector and it basically requires power to turn the duct detector on and to turn the sensors on. Okay, so on most of them, 9 and 10 is going to be your 24 volt power. Don't quote me on that. Okay, but that's a system sensor duct detector. 9 and 10 is going to be your 24 volt power. That powers the detector, and then from there, all the relays and contacts that are on it, you just figure out what you want to do. The one important thing that I'll say about a duct detector is, if you don't already know, most duct detectors have a trouble relay. Okay. The trouble relay is a contact. It usually has a common, a normally closed, and a normally open. On every duct detector that I've ever worked on, and this is what confused me the most, the trouble relay, the contacts, so like when it's listed common and normally closed, that's when it's in a trouble condition. So normal operation, common and normally open, is normally closed. Now that's only on the trouble relay. Okay. The auxiliary relays and the other supervisory relays typically work normal. So when the duct detector is powered and there's no fire condition, the normally closed and common are closed. Okay. But on the trouble relays, that's the one that gets you in trouble. If you don't know what you're doing, it'll really freak you out when you're trying to wire it up. Remember that the trouble relay, I always just say it's backwards. So whatever's labeled on there is backwards unless it's in a trouble condition. Then that's when what's labeled on there will be accurate. Okay. But other than that, there's really nothing to it about a duct detector. I mean, it's just a set of contacts. It's important to know that on a system sensor, that's a very common one, a system sensor duct detector, all your contacts on there, they have nothing to do with the 24 volt voltage or the 115 volt power coming into the duct detector unless someone has jumpered it over there. Okay. So those contacts that are on there are independent of every other contact on that detector. So let's say you have a supervisory relay A, supervisory relay B. and then you have a trouble condition, and then you have an alarm contact. There is no interconnection between any of those contacts or relays within that detector. You have to do all the interconnecting yourself if you're going to do so. So that's another thing to remember too. So if you're just trying to take an RTU unit and break it, all you need to do, if you're working on a newer unit that has an emergency stop feature, you just need to take the 2 wires from the emergency stop feature and run them through one of the contacts on the duct detector, and then power the duct detector with 24-volt power, and you're good to go. Now, when you use the emergency stop feature on an RTU unit, you need to pay attention. Like, for instance, Carrier and Train both have the emergency stop feature, and so does Lennox, but they all do it a little bit differently. Train, if I remember right, they want you to break a circuit to make it go emergency stop. Lennox wants you to close a circuit to make it go emergency stop. So on a Lennox unit, you need to send 24 volts to, I think it's number 21. Okay, I'm talking crazy numbers out of the top of my head, but on their terminal board, you need to send 24 volts to a certain terminal, and that puts it into the fire mode and shuts the unit down. But on a Train package unit, like a Voyager package unit, there's already a jumper across the emergency stop. There's 2 screws essentially, and there's a jumper running across from the factory. You remove that jumper, and then you put a switch basically between the jumper. And when you open it, it goes into emergency stop. So got to pay attention to the units you're working on and know what you're doing. But there's really not a whole lot going into duct detectors. I'll try to do another video where I break it down. So hopefully that answers your question there, bud. All right. Go through and see what else I missed here. Oh, Paul, you were the one that asked that. So hopefully that answers your questions, bud. So, okay. Keep going down here. Yeah, orange popsicle. I've done a bunch of work, and I still owe you guys the video that I've told you I'm going to do where I rewire one of the Maylink control systems. But yeah, they had a shunt trip on the entire Cook's line. But long story short, a lot of times electricians get their noses into those panels and they pull things out of the shunt trip panel and put it on other panels to try to reload them and different things, and they screw everything up. So be cautious about assuming that things are on a shunt trip. Maybe in the beginning they were, but I come into restaurants that people have got their fingers in there and they've pulled things out and put things in. I literally had a shunt trip panel that turned off the exhaust fans because one of the electricians got in and messed it up. And it's like, that's not how it's supposed to work. The shunt trip's supposed to turn on the exhaust fans. Well, I shouldn't say the shunt trip, but the exhaust fans are not supposed to be in the shunt trip panel. Essentially, you'll put the control for the makeup airs in the shunt trip panel, because you typically, when there's a fire condition, you want to turn on the exhaust fans, but turn off any supplied air into the building, makeup air and RTU units, because the theory is that you want to suffocate the fire by pulling all the air out of the building. Okay. Again, going down a rabbit hole. The irony is what do most people do if there's a fire in the building? They go open the doors, but that actually makes it worse. If you go shut the doors, it'll actually be better to suppress it until the fire department gets there. Sorry, going off on a tangent there. So, all right. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Have I ever worked on centrifugal chillers? No, sir, I have not. There is much smarter dudes that are in this chat right now that work on chillers. I've never touched a chiller in my life. I wouldn't know my ass from my hand when I came to a chiller. So, sorry. There's some dudes in here that really know what they're doing with that stuff. So, okay. All right, guys. I think it's time for me to get out of here too. It's been about an hour, unless anybody else has some questions. HVACR dude, see you later, bro. Dennis, sorry, I should just call you by your name, dude. Thanks for coming in, man. Anybody else have any other yeah, you do have Zaya. I saw your video on a train chiller, man. So, all right. Local 787 refrigeration mechanic. Right on, dude. It's Saga Tools. Where's local 7? Oh, Toronto, Canada. Right on, dude. Cool. Good. Thanks for checking in, man. I appreciate it. Anybody else have any other questions before I chime out of here? I know, Zaya, man. You're getting there, bro. I'm proud of you, dude. Almost 600, man. Keep it up. Anybody that hasn't already, go subscribe to Zaya's channel or Isaiah's channel. It's HVAC with ZSAS. He's in here right now. I'm going to put him into here right now. Subscribe to him if you guys get a chance, man. Anybody else have any other stuff? I've never worked with Halon, John McMaster. That's a fire suppression system, right? If I understand it correctly. That's just a different style. Isn't that one that correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't Halon, does it deplete the oxygen or something like that? I could be talking out of my ass right now. So yeah, I appreciate it, guys. If you're still in here, if you guys could give me a thumbs up on the YouTube video, I'd really appreciate that. That does help me. So, all right, guys, no other questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and bounce. Go have some dinner with my family. Appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. The end of my videos, pay attention to the end and pay attention to the show notes. There's lots of useful information in the show notes. And then there's also other channels that I recommend in the end of my videos. So check it out. All right, guys. Thanks again for coming in. I really appreciate it. And any questions you guys have, you need to talk to me, communicate with me, send me an email to hvacrvideos@gmail.com, or you can contact me on Facebook at hvacrvideos, Instagram at hvacrvideos. I don't there's Twitter, but nobody uses Twitter. Also at HVACR videos. So, questions, things you want me to talk about in the live chat, video topics, anything, man, send me a note, send me emails, whatever you want to do. Get a hold of me. All right. Okay. I'm going to read these last ones. Okay. Okay. Wait, I'm going to read this comment. Mauricio Treviso. Sorry, I said Mauricio. Moro Treviso. You need to replace a thermostat on a train unit that right now is working with Long's control system. How can you just get away with the Long system? I don't know what you mean by Long's control system, but if it's working with a train unit, a lot of times you have to buy. If it's an older unit, you have to buy a special module to make it work with the normal thermostat. So if it's like an older Voyager, you have to buy I don't know the part number, but you got to go to your local train supply house and buy a special board that'll make the older Voyagers work. But the newer Voyagers and the newer package units usually have normal thermostat designations on them. So I'd suggest doing some reading on that one before you dive into that, because I don't know what they've done to make it work with the control system. So be cautious about that. Okay. Thanks, Zia, man. Kyle King, where are you going to be at in SoCal, man? Send me an email. Maybe something will work out, bro. All right, cool. Oh, Universal Motors. Interesting. Great. That's a great one, Paul. I'll hit on that one real quick. Universal Motors. Okay. I'm a fan of using OEM parts as much as possible. Condenser fan motors, evaporator motors, that kind of stuff. Okay. Just because I feel like the system was made for it. Let's use it. If you're going to use a universal motor, let's use a condenser fan motor as an example, and let's use a train package unit. Okay. So we're working on a train Voyager unit that has let's just say it's labeled a 3rd horsepower condenser fan motor, 208 volt, 1725 RPMs, and it's running 3.5 amps. Let's just call it 3.5 amps. Okay. Or the 3.5 amps is the stamped amperage on the side of that motor. Okay. What's interesting is if you go get an aftermarket 3rd horsepower motor, it's going to run stamped on the side of the motor. It's stamped with a different amperage. Okay. So when you put an aftermarket 3rd horsepower motor in there, you're going to overamp and burn up the motor. You have to pay attention when you're using a universal motor. You have to pay attention to the rated amps on it. A lot of times, the manufacturers will stamp them with a different horsepower rating, and people will go off of the horsepower and just install a motor and then burn up the motor. No, 2 things. Number 1, you should always verify amp draw in the unit when it's running after you've installed it to verify there's not a problem, and you'll usually see it right then and there. But if you are going to convert, let's just use a train package unit to an aftermarket universal motor. Usually you go up a size in horsepower. So if it has a 3rd horsepower, the rule of thumb usually is go with a 1/2 horsepower. Okay. But you always want to pay attention to the amperage that's rated on the motor, and that's where you'll really see it. So the next time you go buy, you replace a factory motor with a universal motor, look at the amps and you'll see what I'm talking about. That's a very important thing. Okay. That's it, guys. I really am going to close this out now. So thank you guys very much. Oh, cool. Thank you, G Martinez. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I did do a podcast with Gary McCready at HVAC Know It All. So yeah, it was cool. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Thanks again for coming in, and we will see you guys next time. Okay. All right. Merry Christmas too. If I don't see you guys again, or you guys don't see me again. So.